the Ozarks are such a big part of what we do in history, and we thought maybe we would unveil a little bit of how all that materialized.
Before you say that, I want to say, when he's talking about his deep roots here in the Ozarks, his great-great-grandfather was Governor James Berry of Arkansas. He was the U.S. Senator and our governor right after the Civil War and stuff. So he has very, very deep roots here.
James Berry. My mom's right here. And maybe first of all, I thought we'd just play. There's a couple Ozark tunes that have been kind of defined what we do, and we thought we'd start with one of those. It's a good old song called "The Whole World Round." We keep doing these a couple of these anchors. Somewhat, we joke that we keep one toe in the tradition so that we don't drift off into oblivion and write stuff like the Eskimo song. That's a real favorite at the bluegrass festivals. I really like that one. You ready? All right, here we go.
It's kind of interesting. Many years ago, probably about 25 years ago, Kelly and I both bumped into wanting to explore and write songs about the Ozarks before we even met each other in separate worlds. But
that's true. So we were going to kind of take turns and unveil the first Ozark song from each of us. And I think I wrote this about 1989. Oh, was it Mr. Post? Oh, sorry. Oh,
yeah.
She goes first.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, well, let me back up.
Well, so many years ago, many moons ago, actually when I was about 18, my daddy and he was a sign painter, we were traveling across the country, and we came through Arkansas. And in Russellville, we broke down, our van broke down. And I played the fiddle back then, and so my dad would always tell people, oh, my daughter plays the fiddle. And so the people at the car breakdown place said, you have to take her while we're fixing your car to meet Denton Bowes. So they took me to, they put us in their car and took us up to the hills to this old man named Denton Bowes' house. And at 18, I had never seen the kind of poverty this man lived in. He had a one-room shack with cracks in the walls this big, newspaper crammed into the cracks, insulated, keep it warm. He had a rickety rocking chair, empty Folgers coffee can he spit his tobacco out in. And the walls were lined with fiddles that he had carved. I remember some had mockingbirds and stuff. And so for the next 35 years, I actually ended up moving here to Arkansas and kept thinking, I want to go find Mr. Bose again and maybe buy one of his fiddles. So just before he passed away, I found him. And it was nothing like I remembered. It was more tumbling down, and there was only 2 beat-up old fiddles left on the wall. And at the time I was playing at Club West, I was playing at a honky-tonk for 9 years outside of town, playing cover tunes. I didn't even know original music existed. And I thought, I'm going to write a song about this old man because I wanted to keep his story alive. So I wrote my very first song ever about Denton Bose. And I have a picture of him. This is the only picture I know of anywhere.
No, he doesn't have many relatives, and it's a beautiful old picture. And the fiddle that he's holding is very special. It's the last fiddle that he made. It's not a good picture, but if you look real closely, it turns out we were actually playing a concert in Russellville, and we had learned the song Mr. Bose, and we performed it as usual. And much to our surprise, after the concert, a gentleman came up to us and said, "You know, I used to be Mr. Bose's best friend. And I used to visit him all the time, and he said I got the very last fiddle he ever made, and I'm going to give it to you guys." So,
Wow.
So we've had such a joy to have Mr. Bose fiddle, and it's the one in that picture.
Yeah. But even more amazing, he made this, he had no electricity, he made this in 1976 for the bicentennial, and he carved the Liberty Bell on the back with the crack. Yeah, hold it up a little higher. And he carved this fiddle, his friend said, using a pocket knife and an axe. Wow. Even the pegs are carved out of a pocket knife and the axe. It says B-O-Z-E, Bose, Denton Bose here. And so now I get to sing that first song I wrote many years ago on his fiddle.
Oh, and the one little other fact is that when we were, the first time we really met, I think it was about the first time we met, we were doing a session, we were both doing a session at what used to be called Melody Recording Studio, John Johnston. Now it's called Chris Recording Studio. And we were both, I was producing something, and Donna was hired to do the fiddle part. I was on mandolin, and we were working out a part together, and I just was fascinated by her immediately. And I said, "So have you ever written a song?" And she said, "Oh, I've written a couple." And I said, "Well, why don't you play me one?" And she played me Mr. Bose. Oh. Swept me off my feet.
I met him 40 years ago. He was ancient then, but he's been around the sun 100 times. Don't know what possessed me to visit him again. Curious if he was still alive. His old weather-beaten shack had gone to rack and ruin. Where it was back then I don't recall, but I do remember his old coffee can spittoon and all those handmade fiddles on the wall. Oh, Mr. Bose. Oh, Mr. Bose. I know making man. He took his favorite fiddle down, blew off years of dust, held it like a mother holds her babe. The A string it was missing and the other 3 were rust, but he tuned it up, played it anyway. Shaky fingers fold like a blind man in the dark, grabbing each and every note he could find. He played a tune or two, then he wailed on old Joe Clark, playing it as if it was the last time. Oh, Mr. Bose. Oh, Mr. Bose. Oh, make man. In the heart of the Ozarks, the old man lived his life, a simple one with no great tales of fame. But to me he is a legend, if only in my mind, and in this song his memory will remain. As I think about it now, I wish that he had more. I'd I've never seen such poverty and strife. But who's to say what's rich, Lord? Who's to say what's poor? He had a weapon of music in his life. Oh, Mr. Bose. Oh, Mr. Bose. Oh, and he played.
Now I get to do my segment. I've been looking forward to this because I haven't played this song. We never did work up this song together. We recorded it together for our Ozark album. This goes way back before I met Donna. And I moved back to Arkansas, I don't know exactly what year, about 1986 or so. I finally came back to my senses and came home. And I was, but I was kind of directionless in my music. And but a friend sent me this is strange how this started. Of all things, a friend sent me a book from Henry Miller called The Air Conditioned Nightmare, and it had a whole chapter about Coin Harvey and all of his creations at Montenay. How many of y'all know about Coin Harvey and Montenay? It's a pretty well-known story. I thought that was the most interesting story I had ever heard in my life. I was riveted by that story. And I started obsessing. You might kind of like Donna has with her Asami stuff. And I just had to learn everything I could about Coin Harvey. And it just turned out that the Rogers Library, Rogers Historical Museum was doing their first expose on Coin Harvey. And so I wrote this song about Coin Harvey, and then I got to sing it. I remember I sat there by myself and played this song over and over all day long on the opening day while people came in and out. And I got a couple books. I was lucky enough to actually buy a couple of books written by Coin Harvey. He's a fascinating person. I'm going to give you a real short version of what, and by the way, if you want to know more, Alan Lord has written a very nice book about Coin Harvey, telling his life story with lots of pictures. But so Coin Harvey, he right around 1900, he had this. He was just certain that the world was going to come to end because of our greed and our financial irresponsibility. And he didn't believe in usury. He didn't believe we should be borrowing money and making money by lending money. He had a lot of interesting ideas, and some of them were kind of like socialist ideas. And he wrote a lot, but he decided that everything was hopeless with this particular society. And so, but he wanted to warn future societies about all of our errors. So he had this idea that he would build a pyramid so tall and so durable that as the Ozarks crumbled around it, that the top, the spire would still penetrate through the top and still be visible to the next civilization after we're gone. Okay? And then there's a little door at the top, and they would open that door, and he would have his book in there, tell them all the problems, all the mistakes we made. And he also had underneath the pyramid, he was collecting all these objects, artifacts of our society, to show them what we did. And so he never got to build that pyramid. As you know, most of you know, but he did build a whole bunch of things, the amphitheater. I know that my mother used to go to Girl Scout camp over there and play around right where the pyramid would have been built. And I guess my grandmother, my father's mother, used to go there to party. You know, they'd take the railroad down from Rogers and go over there and spend the night and have a big dance. So this is the story of Corn Harvey that I wrote back then. The rest of the story. Oh, listen, it's not there. That last verse is actually Corn Harvey's words. I'll try to, if it's Corn Harvey's words, I'll try to kind of speak it so you know some of this came from his writing. Well, he knew where it would lead, society based on greed. Harvey saw the end coming. He would herald to the world a great signal warning. And far in the future, in our world they would find our race went straight, for his great pyramid would endure all time. It would stand over tall, near a pool of clear water, and forever it would wait for society's fate to call. Along with his book, all the exploits of man, and on top of the shaft, there would be a metal plate that would say, when this can be read, go below and you will find records of the cause and death of a former civilization. When my pyramid's complete, my intent is to keep a great broadcasting station, to keep touch with all the world's nations. And if not done quickly, before confusion sets in, with the language of oblivion, write an epitaph on how to, like the ancient Egyptians, we'll depart from this great earth again. But if truth be known, Corn Harvey had grown old when he just had done. In the year 36, his death would come. If you go there today, you can visit his grave. It was moved to higher ground. Beaver Lake now covers that forgotten town. When this can be read, over Lord, and you will find a record of the cause and death of a former civilization. That is on our Ozark CD, that 4 or 5 CDs ago, something like that.
So the library, since we're at the library, this is kind of interesting. Mary Lutz was the children's librarian for many, many years. And back when we were first starting exploring the Ozarks, every time she saw me, she'd say, "You need to go to Snowball, Arkansas and tell the story of Willie's Walls." And I'm like, okay, someday I'll do that. So finally, Kelly and I went to the town of Snowball, and oh my gosh, so
that was fun. That was a little, we just meandered over there. We didn't know what to expect. And Snowball barely exists. You know, it's pretty much a ghost town. But there were a couple houses, and so we knocked on the first door we found, and a lady answered, and we asked her, "Did you remember Willie, the deaf stonemason, who we've been told about by Mary Lutz?" And so she said, "Well, no, I don't remember him." And we were kind of disappointed. And then she started thinking about it. And she realized, "Oh, you mean that old man Willie?"
She was in her 80s or 90s, and she remembered being a small child and remembered him when he was an old man.
Right, we just didn't have our time frame quite, we didn't understand, because all this took place about the time of the Civil War.
And you know, the story is so fascinating because the story was right during the Civil War. A young a slave child was lost. He had lost his parents. He was deaf, and he was wandering around the Ozarks near Snowball. And a Confederate soldier on his way back home to Snowball found this young boy by the side of the road and took him to Snowball and taught him to be a stonemason. And so all the buildings way back when were this beautiful stonework built by this young Willie. And
there's one of them stood right there in the town square. Such it is. It still exists. There's actually one building that is stone faced. It's not his, but his building is a structural stone building. I mean,
there's no roof on it.
It's made of, right. It's just an open frame with trees growing in the middle.
Beautiful. But the irony is that the graveyard had no grave for him, no marking for Willie. And after we were performing this song for many years in schools, and finally the people in the community got together, and now he has a stone in the cemetery. This is called Willie's Walls. For Mary Lutz.
Make sure that the right harmonica.
Sometimes if we don't have the right harmonica, we do the jazz version.
Searching for his family, looking for his home. He'd sleep in daytime shadows, at night travel far, searching as his father shone for the northern star. Half starved and exhausted, he fell down by the road. Found there by a soldier in a tattered rebel clothes, and the soldier felt compassion for the tiny boy he found. For he rode him over his shoulders, and he carried him to town. taught him how to build a song, and with me learned the secrets of every rock, and he knew just where to place the stones as if he heard them talk. Well, he grew to be an old man, never left that Ozark town, but the years would take their toll, and his hands would let him down. In the end, he's remembered by the children of that day as the old man who would dance for them for pennies thrown away. Stolen legacy of Snowball, Arkansas is hidden in those tangled vines there in Willie's walls. There in silent beauty Willie's life remains, but wander through the graveyard there, you'll not find Willie's name.